Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stampin' with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And today I'm participating in a blog hop, and it's all about designer series paper. And so I'm making a card that I actually cased from Lisa Althouse, who's a demonstrator in Alberta, Canada. And she used the Eden's Garden for hers, and I absolutely loved it. But today I am going to make the card using the Blackberry Beauty Designer Series paper from the Blackberry Beauty collection in the Stampin' Up! Uh, let's see, July to December mini catalog. Get the months right. All right, it's just so pretty, and I'll show it to you in just a minute. Um, yeah, so thanks, Lisa, for the great idea of how to use up your designer series paper. This is using up little strips of designer series paper, and we all have those that we can use. Often mine go in the recycle because I just don't know what to do with them, but this is a great idea. All right, I'm going to switch over to my desktop. If you are watching, you will be able to get the written instructions and measurements for my card on my blog, and the link to my blog will be posted underneath this video when it goes live, so you'll be able to see them. Okay, so this is the card I made. Again, I cased it from Lisa Althouse, changed up a few things on it. But I just love the idea of being able to use the designer series paper. Now, I've realized I have forgotten an embossing folder that I need, and so I am just going to hopefully quickly, yep, there we go, find the embossing folder that I need. Okay, so again, this is using the Blackberry Beauty Designer Series paper. This is the time-worn type embossing folder. I've got some copper foil behind it, and then I'll show you how I made this ribbon, these strands of ribbon in a minute. All right, so let's get my supplies out. Again, that's the Beauty of Tomorrow stamp set that I'm using. Now, here's my supplies. I have a piece of rich raspberry cardstock that is cut 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. This is the card base. So now I've got my score. This is the indent side. So I'm going to fold it towards the mountain or the bump. It just gives you a better crease. And then I'm going to grab my bone folder, which always seems to disappear, and give it a good burnish. Okay, so now I've got a piece of copper foil that I have cut. And I realized I've cut this just a little bit different size than what's on my card. So I'm just going to measure. So this piece of copper foil should be 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So I'm just going to bring my trimmer back in here and trim this to be 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I'm just taking 1/8 of an inch or so off. And then my very vanilla should be 5 inches by 3 3/4. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'll give you those measurements again. The copper foil is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and the very vanilla is 5 by 3 3/4. So we're going to use the embossing folder to emboss this piece of very vanilla. So I'm just going to put this in here now. There is writing on this, and so you do want to make sure that it doesn't really matter when you're embossing it, but when you adhere it down, you want to make sure that you get the words going the right way. So I'm just going to emboss this. My machine is just off to the side. Just don't shake the table. Okay. I love this. Has become my go-to embossing folder. It is just so pretty. So we're just going to adhere this on, and I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. You can use whatever your favorite adhesive is. This seems to be mine these days. So we're just going to adhere that on, get it even, sit down, and then this can go on to the card base. All right, so that's the card base. Now I've got, I think there are 1, 2, where's all my strips? I have 7 strips. Oh, I've got, there we go, 7 strips, and I've actually cut them a variety. So I've got some that are 1/2 inch, some that are 3/4 of an inch. I don't, oh, 1/2 inch, 3/4, and a 3/4 of an inch. I don't think I cut them any wider than that. So we're just going to mix them up. And I cut them, so 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch by 4. Now I'm going to trim them to be different lengths because I just wasn't sure how I wanted them to go. So I want them to be a variety of 2 3/4 by 2.5 by 3. So we're just going to take and bring the trimmer in now that I've kind of laid them out in the, I'm going to say pattern, but how I want them to go on my cards. So I've just kind of laid them out, and now I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut them a variety of lengths. So we'll cut this one 3.5, and then this one we'll do 3 3/4. You could do this with your, just take your paper snips and do this. And again, maybe we'll do that one 3 3/8. Just a variety of lengths, just to give it some interest. And then we'll do this one 3.5. This one 3 5/8. 3.5. And this one 3 3/8. All right, so my strips are a combination of 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, and the lengths are anything from 3.5, 3 3/8, 3 5/8, roughly. Okay. And I think on my original card, yes, on my original card, I actually cut them quite a bit shorter, but for this one, I think I might have to trim them a little bit. This one feels a little bit long. All right. That one, not sure what I cut that one. Let's go back. Maybe 3 5/8 is too long. That was 3 3/4. So let's actually cut that one to 3.5. This one I'm going to trim as well. So you can just kind of play with these and see what looks best on your card. Okay, now I'm going to start, I have 7, so I'm going to start with the center one. And so I'm going to use this one as my center. And I'm going to just use glue, and I'm going to put these kind of on a, not on a little bit on an angle, so just a little bit off center. And so they're not going to be straight, which is great, because sometimes when you try to get things straight, they don't look straight. So we're just going to kind of put them on, and we're going to go from side to side. One, so I've got the middle one on, and now I'm going to put this one on. And again, I'm not intentionally not doing them straight up and down. That one's definitely at an angle. And this one we'll just do like that, kind of overlapping. It's paper is just so pretty. So whichever way you decide to go with them will look lovely. Okay, that one will go there. And then this one will just go, trying to get them, you know, roughly the same distance from the left and right. Now, you can see I've got these quite a bit shorter on this card, but I like it either way. So however you want that to go is great. Now, this piece is, what did I cut this one? This is 3/4 of an inch. So this is very vanilla, 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm using the sentiment that says, some people are just likable. So we will stamp this now. I'm going to just use my, let's see if I got a scrap piece of paper. Here's a scrap. Just want to see how this lines up. Oh, pretty straight, pretty straight. All right. So we're just going to stamp this in the middle. Hopefully we get it straight. Like that. Not too bad. Now, there are some great splotches. I love splotches. So we're just going to take, and where's my piece of paper? And we're going to stamp off. I'm just going to stamp. I actually stamp off twice. There we go. Oops. Close it up before I get my fingers in it. Okay, so this is going to go on like this. But before I put this on, I want to show you how I made these threads of ribbon. So depending on the ribbon, this is the Fine Art Floral ribbon. So this one works really well, as does the Blushing Bride Frayed Grosgrain. So just take your pick tool, the pointed end, and just start kind of pulling away until you get some threads. So you get a thread that will actually, I'm just going to start that again. Okay. So just pull until you get a thread that will actually go. I'm not sure why this is doing that. All right, so let's see if I can actually get this to pull. Because once you get a thread that will let go, I'll take your, there we go. It is just not working for me today. I'm not sure why. All right, maybe this will. So you can see that it frays, which is really what you want once you can get. So I'm really trying to pull one of the this gold thread that's running through it is the piece that I really want to get and be able to pull. Okay, let's see if that'll do it. All right. It is just not behaving today. All right, let's try this again. Maybe I'm trying too hard because I'm on camera. All right. Let's try this end. There we go. All right. I think I've got it. So hang on to this. So hang on to your ribbon in the left hand and start gently pulling, and you will see that you will get all of these great threads. Hang on to them so they don't let go and you don't end up with threads. So I'm just gonna, I think that this was cut. I'm gonna say this was cut about 10 inches. You probably don't need that much. Just keep hanging on and pulling until you get your piece all pulled apart. There we go. And you can save this. This is great to use as well on projects. But now I've got a piece of ribbon with all these threads that made up the ribbon. I don't need this as that long. So on my card, I'm just going to take and I'm going to put just a little bit of Stamp and Seal like that. And I'm going to just create a circle like that. And now I've got that held down, and I'll trim this in just a minute. There we go. And now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. Now, when I do a long strip sentiment, I try to stagger my dimensionals so that they are kind of close to the top and then towards the bottom. And the reason I do that is because if you have a piece that's wide and you put them all right down the middle of your piece, your sentiment might wobble. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put right over top of my my threads, and then I'll take and trim these. I don't want them quite that long, so I'm just going to take and trim the excess off, and the same on this side. Grab them all together like that. Just really nice way to add some detail to your card. At least I think so. I love using ribbon a little bit different. I know somebody said to me, oh my gosh, I couldn't bear to do that with ribbon. But it's fun to find different ways to use your ribbon. All right, this is the 1/4 inch gold shimmer ribbon. So I'm just going to make a little bow with it. That. Trim the tails. And I will adhere this using a glue dot. And it's just going to go underneath like that. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to use are the brushed metallic adhesive back dots. And they come in copper, gold, and that might be pewter. So I'm going to use the copper ones, and I'm just going to put 3 of these on. Like that. Just to add a little bit of extra embellishment onto my card. Okay, and then one last step, do the inside of the card. So I'm stamping using Rich Razzleberry, and I'm going to use this great little flower, and I'm going to just stamp it down in the bottom right corner. And I've got a sentiment that says, so the front says, some people are just likable, and the back is going to say, you're one of those, or in the inside is going to say, you're one of those people. And then splotches, and now I'm going to stamp off on my splotches like I did on the front, and I'm going to stamp off twice because I just want it quite light. Yeah, some detail. Close that up before I get my fingers in it. And then this can go on the inside of my card. Trying to finish the insides of my cards these days. It just makes it easier because then when you go to give your cards away, the inside is all done. If you make cards in advance and don't do the insides like I tended to do, then I have to stop and finish the insides. So this way they're all set to go when I have somebody to give it to. All right, so you can see that I did trim these a little shorter on my original card. These are longer, so whichever one you like works. And again, thank you so much to Lisa Althouse for this great idea. Great way to use up your designer series paper. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll play along and make some cards if you are part of my Facebook group, and I'll put the link underneath this video. feel free to share your cards. I love to see what cards you're creating. And every month, at the end of each month, I give away a couple of prizes for those that have shared cards. So I'd love for you to be part of that. As I said, I will post the written instructions, measurements, and supply list on my blog, and the link to my blog will go underneath this video. If this is the first time that you have found me on Facebook, welcome. And if you've come back for a second or third or multiple time, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you'll take the time to subscribe so you get notified when I've done these videos or when I go live on YouTube. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.